pleasant afternoon to the viewers and subscribers of D and J Drives. Today is Monday, the 3rd of March 2025. It's 3:20 p.m. and we are recording from Boscobelle, St. Peter, where we will be taking a drive to Sheraton Center in Christchurch. So Boscobelle, St. Peter is a very popular place. You always hear about Boscobelle, and we had decided to do this drive today just to record a route for anybody who maybe there's some tourists out there who came to Barbados and got lost, and they went on YouTube to look for a way to get out. This is the solution. It's also a way for D&J Drives to showcase the road network of Barbados, which is our mission and vision. It's a father-son duo who started this project a year ago, February 2024, and we've done many drives and recorded many events over the period in Barbados. We also have a few drives in Trinidad. So this is the peaceful Boscobelle, St. Peter. We're making our way out to Highway 2. So sit back and enjoy the drive. For now, there's just a lot of country viewing, nice trees, nice green, few cars on the road. Technically, this is what you would call the country in Barbados. An island that was predominantly dedicated to sugarcane industry. This is where resources were used to develop Great Britain. The whole island was basically broken up into various plantations. Much of its architecture today is based on that history. There are the famous plantation houses, there are the chattel houses, which were used by freed slaves who moved from place to place wherever they could get work and took their homes with them and rented a spot of land, and that's how they came up with the notion of chattel houses. Chattel because they could move from place to place, or be moved rather from place to place. Many of the areas in Barbados are named because of those plantations, such as Searles, Calendars, many places. So here we are, back out onto Charles Duncan O'Neill Highway. This road takes us into St. Lucie. You can use the Charles Duncan O'Neill Highway to connect with the St. Lucie Parish Church. This area is Pleasant Hall, St. Peter, just going based on that sign. Mount Pleasant Memorial Gardens on the left coming up, which is the northern response to the Coral Ridge Cemetery in Christchurch. This is where the late Prime Minister Owen Arthur is interred. So we're gonna turn off here. That's the All Saints Church right ahead there. All Saints Church Hall, and of course the All Saints Primary School on the left. You can see the school children have just ended their school day, making their way home, go home and do their homework. This piece of road was very famous when Owen Arthur died, because the funeral proceeded along this path. It passed his family home, which is immediately to our right. That pink building there to the right, that was his family home. His sister lived there, other members of his family. This right turn here where this vehicle is exiting, that's the road you would take to get into St. Lucie Animal Flower Cave. And if we went straight, we would go all the way down into Speightstown. This is 1.25 miles St. Peter. We've just turned left onto, and it leads us on to Highway 2A. And anyone who's been following D&J Drive should be very familiar with Highway 2A. We've done a number of drives on Highway 2A. Highway 2A covers St. James, St. Thomas, and St. Peter. Well, actually, it starts in St. Michael in Warrens. Again, if we went right, that takes us into Speightstown, but we're staying left. The Ronald Mapp Highway, aka Highway 2A. This is Whitehall in St. Peter, according to this sign. We always look out for those signs because they help us to tell our viewers where we are in Barbados. Because essentially what we're doing is exploring. We are exploring places. So we have to use whatever hints there are out there to tell us where to go, where to turn. Of course, we do some planning beforehand. My son, he does that. He uses a map and he maps out where we will drive. And then we depend on the signage of the area. And common knowledge, of course. This St. Peter area here, the parish of St. Peter, as we mentioned in our exploring the parish of St. Peter Drive, is the only parish that touches both the east and the west coast of Barbados. Of course, other than St. Lucie, which is at the top, which covers north, west, and east. But other than St. Lucie, you're coming all the way down. All of the other parishes are either left or right, or center in the case of St. Thomas and St. George. To the right is the Hayman's Market, and to the left going up to C-Mix. Now driving through Baker's St. Peter. All along Highway 2A, aka the Ronald Mapp Highway. So if we made a right turn here, it would take us down to Mullins and Speightstown. This nice stretch of road here is very shaded thanks to those lovely trees. To the right is Baker's Woods, nice little residential area, relatively new, fully developed now. There's no vacant land in there, it's just homes that are into second and third hand ownership over the period. Now at Sion Hill in St. James. So as soon as you pass Baker's Wood, somewhere out there is where you exit St. Peter. So we started in St. Peter and we're going to go all the way to Sheraton in Christchurch. And here begins the traffic. Every time you reach around here, that's when you start to get a build-up of traffic, and that's what slows down these recordings. You see the bus stop saying bus stop to city. So if ever you visit Barbados, as happened to a friend of mine, this is Upper Carlton, St. James, and you get lost, just find a bus stop, and if it says to city, you know you will eventually find your way into Bridgetown. And if it says out of city, that means you're in the wrong direction and you're lost. So in Barbados, if you're a tourist, you cannot get lost if you find a bus stop and go in the direction where it says to city. Find your way back and start all over again. Every time we come to this intersection in any of our drives, always mention it. These traffic lights were erected within the last decade or so, and they were very popular and then have become very unpopular. We'll just take a break for now until we get the green light. And here we go. So Westmoreland Junction, we call this. This is Westmoreland in St. James, and you can use that traffic light to go down to the west coast and past Royal Westmoreland, a high-end luxury gated community, or go left to Apes Hill, another high-end luxury gated community. So modern Barbados, one of the features is these gated communities fitted with 24-hour security, high walls and fences. And when you go into some of those places, it's like if you're in a different world. There's a lot of wealth in Barbados. Many of these properties are owned by wealthy locals as well as Europeans and Americans who come here during their winter periods or just rent them out. Or should I say rent them, not rent them out, because you can't rent them in. Rent them to their friends and family, and they come to the paradise of Barbados, otherwise known as the Republic of Barbados or just Barbados. Republic of Barbados because Barbados became a republic some 3 years ago, 2021. Barbados finally broke away from, this is Lancaster in St. James. Barbados finally broke away from Britain by declaring itself a republic on Independence Day, when Prince Charles, as he was then, flew to Barbados to give a speech on behalf of his mother, his late mother now, who was the Queen of England, and he spoke about the atrocities of slavery. The Prime Minister of Barbados spoke about Barbados completing the process of emancipation by making her country a republic on Independence Day. So first it was emancipation, then it was independence, and now republicanism. So Barbados is internationally now a full republic. Slightly controversial at the time, because there are some who felt that Barbados shouldn't become a republic, and that's a bit confusing to me. For example, in Jamaica, where there's a whole debate about whether Jamaica should become a republic. Jamaica, of all places, you would think that that would have been the first republic or the second republic after Haiti. But there's great resistance in Jamaica for that move. There was actually a referendum some years ago in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which failed because the independent people of that country declared that they wanted to keep the Queen as their head of state. It's a bit paradoxical, if you ask me. So like Canada and Australia, many Caribbean islands still have the King of England as their head of state. And some of the members of their parliaments. So we're now in Arch Hall, St. Thomas. So we've left St. James, we're in St. Thomas now. Some of them, in those countries, the members of parliament swear allegiance to the King of England and his heirs and successors. a CD number plate. That means it's a diplomat, Corps Diplomatique. So we're in Archall, St. Thomas now. Pass through St. James from St. Peter along Highway 2A. Started off at the Ronald Mapp stretch of the highway, and now we're approaching Sandy Lane. Bumper to bumper traffic. Essence of time, I think we're gonna pause this drive until we make our way through the traffic, because it doesn't make sense to use up recording time making our way through traffic. Now the traffic is moving again, so we'll continue recording. Don't want to bore our viewers because they're kind of just sitting in traffic with us. What causes the traffic here is there's a right turn to go into Sandy Lane via Molino Road. This vehicle is exiting Molino Road. Based on the number plate, we can assume that's a tourist. It may be a flawed assumption, but it's a hired vehicle and is coming out of the Sandy Lane Resort, so there's a high possibility. Barbados right now has many tourists all about, because this is what is called the peak of the winter season. This is where Barbados' tourism industry makes its money, from November or thereabouts to February, March, April. Many tourists come here, or even people who just own property here but they are not from here. They come here to escape the winter. So we're driving through St. Thomas now, and this is Bagatelle. Staying on the left, but if you are following this drive, there was a slight right turn there that one could have taken to go into the right lane. You have to look at the road markings very carefully, because sometimes one stretch of road is used for both traffic going in both directions, so you have to be careful you're not in the wrong lane, because you may be facing oncoming traffic. And to the right is the newest big mall in Barbados. Courts recently opened a big store in there, and there's Abed's. So this area here is Welsh's, St. Thomas, and The building we just passed is One Welsh's. Winston Young has a big brand on the building there on the top 2 floors, and then Ruby is headquartered in the building next to it. And then we have Costules on the left, as well as Chefette and other facilities in that shopping complex. There's a bank there for citizens. There's a nice restaurant in there as well. Well, there's a whole food court in there. Oh boy, more traffic. Enter Warrens now. So this is Claremont, the area. And the old Simpson Motors to the left, that is now called Inchcape. And then you have Carter's General Store has a store out here now. And we've just entered Warren's, and I was mentioning the restaurant in that shopping facility in Welsh's. I couldn't remember the name, but it's Sorbonne Restaurant. It's a South African name, Sawubona, Sorbonne. Lovely place to eat if you're in Barbados and you want to try it. There's some lovely food in there. I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing it properly, but it's Sorbonne, and I know that's an South African name. So this is Warrens in St. Michael, and we are now on the ABC Highway on the Errol Barrow section of the highway. The Everton Weeks roundabout, and of course making a plug here for our drive that we did on the ABC highway itself. We did a drive that showed all of the roundabouts from the seaport to the airport. So if you're interested in a little history of Barbados's roundabouts and the connection between the seaport and the airport, please look for that drive. Every roundabout, with the exception of the Wildy roundabout, has a name, and it's named for someone of historical significance in Barbados, someone who made a contribution to Barbados, such as Darcy Scott, Everton Weeks, Clyde Walcott, Frank Worrell, Errol Barrow, Tom Adams. All of these roundabouts are named Edwy Talma. So we're here stuck in traffic now, after school and after work traffic. This is what Barbados is like every day at this part of the highway. This is the hard part about development, because you have more and more vehicles and the same space, the same roads. And there's not that much room in Barbados to expand the roads. You can't necessarily have an 8-lane highway here, 4 lanes on each side in a space like this, not even 3 lanes on each side, 6-lane highway. So you just have to live with it. And unfortunately, due to politics, one government many years ago had plans of building flyovers and overpasses in Barbados, and that was happening, and then there was a change in government, and then the other government cancelled the flyovers. And it's a very famous statement, because the new Prime Minister stood proudly in the Parliament while looking across at the leader of the opposition, the former Prime Minister, and declared there will be no flyovers in Barbados. And that was maybe over 15 years ago. And here we are today. D&J Drives isn't political and will never express political views, but it can become quite frustrating sometimes sitting in traffic. You know, sometimes it's easier to leave your office at 5:30 and get home at 6:15, as opposed to leaving your office at 4:30 and getting home at 6:20, because you were just sitting in traffic. And that famous statement, there will be no flyovers in Barbados, at the risk of sounding political, I think it was a flawed decision, because there's free education in Barbados, and there are many highly intelligent people in Barbados who, you know, go overseas and study and come back and get all sorts of education, you know, technical vocation. There are many people in Barbados with the means of accumulating wealth on all levels, and the education is free. So you can get your education, you can better yourself, you can get a trade, get an academic degree, earn money, and then the next thing you know, you have 2 and 3 vehicles in a household. And you know, the society is becoming more and more like that, with means of transportation, but the roads have not changed significantly to facilitate that growth. So this ABC highway, for example, was supposedly revolutionary, a revolutionary idea of Tom Adams, former Prime Minister, which is why the first part of it is named for him. And that was a solution. At the time it wasn't popular, from what my information tells me. It wasn't popular, and it was done, and it was a solution. So when a successive government decided to place flyovers, it was stopped politically. Imagine what Barbados would be like today if this ABC was stopped politically because of political reasons. Similarly, this is the reality in Barbados today because of no flyovers. All of this traffic that we're in now is because of the Clyde Walcott roundabout, where people are trying to get from Bridgetown, from the area of Sion Hill and Combermere and all of that into St. George. So they're coming across that roundabout, and traffic in this direction is trying to go along the highway, and you just have to give way to the traffic on the right, which you will see shortly. If there were a flyover, we would have just been going. I mean, you can't eliminate traffic jam, traffic congestion, but it would be far easier than this. And you know, flyovers, there's a case for flyovers. You know, if you look at countries like in the region, like Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, the island of Trinidad, in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, because there are no flyovers in Tobago, you'll see where it works. It actually works. The traffic flows, you know, not meaning that you don't have massive traffic pile up in those islands as well, but it's easier than doing this. So there will be no flyovers in Barbados. Famous last words. There's a bus to the left, standing room only. So this area is Hothersall, and some people refer to this as the Hothersall roundabout, but it's really the Clyde Walcott roundabout, and I'm sure everybody across the globe knows who Clyde Walcott is, any cricket lovers. See, Barbados is brilliant in terms of naming places for people who need to be honored. The irony is the average person doesn't know the actual names of these roundabouts. Like the Henry Ford roundabout is known as the Chickmont roundabout. But here we can see very clearly the name Clyde Walcott proudly displayed. We'll get it in a little bit. And to the right you can see a building under construction. That's the new geriatric hospital that is under construction as we make our way from Boscobelle, St. Peter to Sheraton Mall. There's the name Clyde Walcott roundabout. You can see it very proudly displayed there. So we have to wait on this traffic coming from the right. Everyone going up into Hothersall and St. George, Lares and so on. And then we just take a quick pull in here. And then that's where the congestion occurs, down in there. So with all of that, here we go. We get a nice, clean stretch now, because that congestion there is strictly because of that roundabout. If we had a flyover, that just wouldn't happen. Those coming along the ABC highway would have gone over, and those coming from Bridgetown into the inner island there in Hothersall would have just gone straight. But that's the thing about politics and the political will and democracy. People vote, or should vote, for the policies of a political party to get them implemented. And whichever party wins, they get to implement the things that they want. So this area here is the Bell, and this nice stretch of road that we're on now, I know it as different names: the Bell Strip, the Bell Straight, and the Bell Stretch. And depending on who you're talking to, they refer to it as the Bell Strip, or the Bell Stretch, or the Bell Straight. But the thing about it is that this is the Bell, and it's a straight piece of road. So Bajans know how to describe things. So if you tell a Bajan, I am on the Bell stretch, they know exactly where you are. And if you tell them I'm in the Bell, they will know where you are too. It's a peculiar thing about Barbados because there are places known just by a name. You know, if you refer to a property as Ashford, for example, if you say Ashford St. Joseph or something, the postman knows how to find it. Or if you say somebody's address is Mr. John Brown, some area, Christchurch, no house number or house name, and the postman they know how to find you. So we're now in Haggatt Hall, St. Michael. So you see we moved from St. Boscobelle, St. Peter, passed through St. James, passed through St. Thomas, passing through St. Michael.
Like to see the flyovers in action, you can watch our drive in Trinidad and Tobago, Piarco to Port of Spain, and you will see the multiple flyovers and walkovers in action and how they ease traffic flow.
Okay, so we're approaching, that was my son, by the way, making a point about the flyovers. We're approaching the JTC Ramsey roundabout. I don't intend for us to do a repeat of our roundabout drive, but with all this traffic there isn't that much to explain, so we just make our way through the traffic for now, traffic jam. At each roundabout you see this congestion because of what's happening. It's a conflict between north-south and east-west. It's an intersection, a junction, but a roundabout that connects everybody. And as my son always says, the roundabouts were built, the roundabouts represent excellent. You see how these vehicles drive off before the pedestrian has fully crossed, because everybody is in a hurry nowadays. You're supposed to wait until the pedestrian has made his or her way across the pedestrian crossing before moving, but we don't do that anymore. We're all in a hurry. So as my son always says, the roads were built with excellent engineering for Barbados at that time. The roundabouts were, that gentleman has just stopped on the side of the highway. The roundabouts were built to accommodate Barbados with far less vehicles, and notice each time we cross a roundabout how easy the traffic flows. We've outgrown the roundabouts essentially. There's need for new engineering. Here we go again, this time by the Wildy roundabout. One of two roundabouts on this entire ABC highway that has no particular name. There's the Wildy Roundabout. Well, the name here is the Wildy Roundabout. It's not named for anyone. And then there's the other roundabout by Coverley. Residences, the villages at Coverley. That roundabout isn't named for anyone.
And I would like to add that you wouldn't really find roundabouts on highways in most countries. I mean, you will find it in St. Lucia, but what you'll see in St. Lucia are they use a lot of walkovers, so the pedestrians could walk over the highway instead of having to walk across it, because when you're exiting the roundabout, sometimes you might miss somebody who's trying to cross, and that would be an accident there. And also you might not expect a car to be stopped right there as you're coming off, and that's another accident. So you wouldn't really find, roundabouts on highways in other countries. But even if they are roundabouts, they will have an approach like St. Lucia where they're walkovers, so the pedestrians can get over the roads safely. So the roads, should improve over the years, but that hasn't happened as yet. Maybe it will happen in the future, but those are some things to think about.
Here's another pedestrian crossing. You tend to find them as you exit the roundabouts. And on the other side as you approach them. Depending on where the pedestrian crossing originates. So we're coming down what used to be BET Hill. This is another thing here. When you come down from this hill, you should reduce your speed, because vehicles have to go from right to left and left to right just across the highway to get to different points. Unfortunately, a lot of drivers come down that hill at high speeds. So when that road was reconfigured, there was a lot of advertising explaining to road users that you need to reduce speed at that point. And that has faded away. So you have very much difficulty getting from, for example, if you come across Wildy and you want to get into Christchurch, you pass by the gas station and come out at the back. It's hard to cross over. So we are about to exit the highway to get to Sheraton Mall. We give way here to the traffic on the right at the Garfield Sobers roundabout. And we come up into Sargent's village. Where we encounter more traffic. This is what it's like on any workday afternoon after school. It's 4:10 p.m. We did a drive, one of our Christchurch drives, we did a drive exiting this right turn. As you can see now, the road is, they're building some sort of a sidewalk there. So, oh, here's a cyclist doing his wheelies. Motorcyclist rather. So this is Highway 6 coming up from Rendezvous Hill across the Garfield Sobers roundabout, and this goes all the way down past the Globe driving along that road. Sargent's Village. There's a left turn here that, oh great, a vehicle is exiting. So that's Regency Park through there. So thanks to that vehicle exiting, it allowed me to make the point about the area. And we covered here in drive number 3 or 4 of our Exploring the Parish of Christchurch series. Part 6. We covered right here. And here we are, Sheraton Mall or Sheraton Center. I prefer to call it Sheraton Mall because there's a mall, but I think the official name is Sheraton Center. And so this brings us to the end of this drive from Boscobelle in St. Peter to Sheraton Mall in Christchurch. You have the Olympus Cinema on the right here, and I didn't make the point that that new mall that we passed in Welsh's in St. Thomas is also going to have a cinema, or so I understand. So there will be, some people are calling it Sheraton 2.0. Whatever it is, I'm just happy for another cinema. The cinema at Lime Grove closed down some years ago. This is D&J Drives saying farewell until next time. Please follow our Exploring the Parishes series. We've done all of the parishes around the east and west coast of Barbados and the North Point. We now have to do St. George and St. Thomas. It is 4:15 p.m. on Monday the 3rd of March 2025, and we thank you for your support, and we look forward to your comments as usual. Until next time.